The night before my wedding to Chu Yen, my family went bankrupt. He stood there with an umbrella, looking down at me, a heap on the ground in the pouring rain. I reached out, trying to grab his pant leg. He jerked away like I was something disgusting. Li Shi, he said, do you have any idea how sick you make me? Even a single touch from you is repulsive. That's when it hit me. His parents had forced him to be nice to me, all because of my family's money and power. Later, I left. But then he started looking for me like a crazy person. When we saw each other again, his eyes were all red and he tried to take my hand. I just said calmly, don't touch me. It's disgusting. Thump. My hand went limp and my bag crashed to the floor. I couldn't believe my eyes. There on the living room TV cabinet was a framed photo. In it, a boy had his arm around a girl. They were both in the same blue and white school uniforms, grinning with the same bright, sunny smiles. The boy was my fiancé, Chu Yen. The girl leaning on his shoulder, my best friend, Yen Jingro. See, why'd you have to come here and upset yourself? A mocking laugh floated from behind me. It was Chu Yen's mother. She glanced at the photo, then smiled sweetly. Don't Yen and little Jing look perfect together? This was the same mother Chu who used to hold my hand so gently. Now she was asking me if Chu Yen and Yen Jingro looked good together. When I didn't say anything, she added, your family's bankrupt now. Yen doesn't have to pretend to like you anymore. My mind just exploded. What did she mean, doesn't have to pretend? I'd come to see Chu Yen today because my dad's company had been having money problems for a long time. He hadn't told me because he didn't want me to worry. I wanted Chu Yen to help. We were about to get married, we'd be family soon. When we got engaged, he'd promised he'd take care of everything. He said no matter what happened, I just had to look to him, and he'd fix it. And I believed him, completely. I'd known Chu Yen since I was 6. That's 18 years. He was always so gentle, so thoughtful. He remembered every little thing I ever said. Marrying Chu Yen, being his wife, that was my biggest dream. I stumbled out of the Chu family living room in a daze. The butler, a man I'd called uncle for over a decade, opened the door for me. When he looked at me, I saw pity and a hint of pain in his eyes. I managed a weak smile. So that's why Chu Yen hadn't been around lately. I thought he was just busy with work. Turns out, it was because my family was going bankrupt and he could finally dump me. It was pouring when I stepped outside. I walked straight into the downpour, and my clothes were soaked in seconds. I stopped and, out of habit, looked up at the balcony of Chu Yen's second-floor bedroom. One look and I froze. On the balcony, a tall, lean man was holding a small, delicate woman tightly, kissing her passionately as thunder boomed and lightning flashed in the storm. The rain blurred everything. I couldn't tell if it was rain or tears streaming down my face. I could just barely make out how tightly he held her, how lost he was in that kiss. We started dating officially when we were 18. Chu Yen always said he didn't like too much physical contact. So the closest we ever got was him kissing my forehead. So he could kiss someone like that with so much feeling. It just meant he hated me. He didn't want to be close to me at all. Kissing my forehead must have been torture for him. Up on the balcony, Chu Yen let go of the girl, whose cheeks were flushed from his kisses. His eyes landed on the pathetic, drenched figure standing in the rain. Yen, little she is here. Yen Jingro linked her arm through Chu Yan's, her innocent face clouded with a touch of worry. She's getting soaked. Let's get her an umbrella. My feet felt like they were nailed to the ground. I wanted to run, but I couldn't move. So there I stood, a complete wreck, watching the villa door open again. Chu Yen, holding a big black umbrella, walked slowly towards me with Yen Jingro tucked under his arm. Even from a distance, I could see the look on his face. Cold, distant, uncaring. He'd always been so gentle and polite with me. This was a side of him I'd never seen. Little she, quick, take this umbrella. Yen Jingro held out an umbrella, her face full of fake concern. I just stared coldly at her two-faced act. Her family always favored boys and she was always so timid. I'd stood up for her countless times, treated her like my own sister. And this is how she repaid me. I said, I don't need your fake kindness. Chu Yan's eyes narrowed. Li Shi, don't be ungrateful. Little Jing is just trying to be nice. I almost laughed. Nice? Is nice stealing someone else's fiancé? Chu Yen frowned. Even if little Jing wasn't in the picture, I wouldn't like you. My nose tingled, tears welling up. Even though I'd already heard the truth from his mother, hearing him say it himself felt like someone had ripped my heart open. It hurt so much I could barely breathe. Why? Why would you do this to me? I lunged forward and shoved Chu Yen hard. They both stumbled back. I lost my balance and fell right to the ground. Yen Jingro immediately gasped and rushed to help me up. I smacked her hand away. Her eyes turned red, like she was the most wronged person in the world. It used to break my heart to see her like that. A bitter smile spread across my face. I really was blind. Chu Yen stood over me, holding the umbrella. Tears blurred my vision. For a second, I thought I saw a flicker of his old gentleness. I reached for his pant leg. I wanted to say I wouldn't marry him, that I'd back off, but could he please help my dad? He flinched away like I was diseased. Li Shi, do you have any idea how disgusting I find it, even if you just touch me once? His voice was ice, and his hateful stare felt like a sword twisting in my chest. The pain was unbearable. Since I was a kid, I never even had the freedom to choose my own friends. If I upset you, my mom would beat me when she got home. You've been on your high horse for years. Now it's your turn to see what it's like to be at the bottom. Not long ago, my family was the richest in Yuncheng. My mom died giving birth to me. Dad, afraid I'd feel neglected, never remarried. He doted on me, treated me like a princess. He was famous in Yuncheng for being crazy about his daughter. Because of that, lots of people tried to get on his good side by flattering me first. I'd had everything since I was born, so I never paid much attention to their sucking up. But I never dreamed that besides gifts and money, someone would actually offer up a person. A 6-year-old boy. Even my dad, a veteran of the business world for decades, probably never saw that coming. He truly believed Chu Yen was good to me. All these years, he'd helped the Chu family and treated Chu Yen like his own son. All he wanted was for the Chu family to treat me well after I married in. He never imagined. They were all a bunch of thankless wolves. I stumbled out of the Chu family's yard, walking through the downpour under dim streetlights. Suddenly, headlights pinned me in their glare. I kept walking slowly until a car stopped beside me. I glanced at it, definitely not a Chu family car. Even now, I was still clinging to some stupid hope about Chu Yen. Hopeless. Utterly hopeless. I turned to keep walking, but the driver's door opened. A man holding a dark blue umbrella got out, walked around the front of the car, and stopped next to me. It was only when he got closer that I recognized him. It was Sui, my biggest rival, the one I'd clashed with most since we were kids. I looked down, my voice weak. I'm not in the mood for your jokes today. Sui and I lived in the same fancy neighborhood. We'd fought like cats and dogs since we were little, always causing a huge scene. Eventually, at parties, people would deliberately keep us apart. He went abroad after graduation, supposedly to manage his family's business in France. And now, here he was, back from France just to laugh at me in my moment of misery. Some rivalries just never die, I guess. Sui frowned. Is that really what you think of me? I hadn't seen him in 2 years. He looked pretty sharp now, more mature, less of that flashy, bad boy vibe he used to have. I nodded. Yeah. Sui let out an annoyed laugh. Get in the car. I eyed him suspiciously. Why did he want me in his car? To trap me and mock me properly. He sounded a little exasperated. If you don't get in, I'm not lending your family any money. Hearing that, I yanked open the car door and practically threw myself into the passenger seat. I had no idea if Sui was bluffing. But right then, nobody else was willing to lend us a dime to get through this mess. Sui was the only lifeline. I followed Sui to his huge riverside apartment. I'd actually been here a few times. I'd seen it first and wanted it, but Sui pulled some strings and bought it out from under me. I was only a junior in college back then. I was so mad, I felt like my head would explode. As soon as I heard, I stormed into his classroom. He'd just finished class. I dragged him out in front of everyone and gave him a piece of my mind and a few shoves. Looking around now, his renovations were actually pretty nice. His taste isn't half bad, I thought to myself. The money. The second he closed the door, I blurted out, I can pay you back with bank interest. Sui strolled over to the sofa and sat down. I tiptoed after him. If I wasn't desperate for money, I'd rather die than act this meek in front of Sui. But the company was more important. It was Dad's whole life. I couldn't let it go down. Sui tapped his fingers on his knee, a steady rhythm. I held my breath, waiting for him to speak. I don't need your pocket change interest. He looked at me, taking his sweet time. I couldn't figure out what he was thinking. If you're not going to lend it, why did you bring me here? Are you messing with me? I grabbed a throw pillow and chucked it at him. Same old Sui. Furious, I spun around to leave. But I'd barely taken a step when I tripped over something. The world went sideways and I toppled backward. I landed hard on the sofa. Actually, it was more like I'd crash landed right on top of Sui. What do you have in your pocket? You're not planning something sketchy, are you? Hiding a weapon? My arms flailed around, but I couldn't get any leverage to push myself up. Worse, I kept slipping and falling back onto him. A strained, husky voice came from beneath me. Li Shi, if you move one more time, you're in for it. It hit me what it was, and my face burned red all the way to my ears. You pervert, how dare you? I was grinding my teeth. Then, what Sui had said earlier suddenly clicked. My expression froze. I pushed off the sofa with one hand, flipped over, and pinned Sui down. Sui looked genuinely shocked. What do you think you're doing? I tried for a sweet smile, but I probably looked more like a psycho. This way, will you lend me the money? I had him, all right. Its impressive size startled me for a second. I kept my cool on the outside, fought down my nerves, and made my smile even wider. Sui sounded like he was talking through gritted teeth. Li Shi, get off. Young Master Su, please. You're a big man, don't hold a grudge against little old me. I won't fight with you anymore. I'm begging you, lend me the money. I gave him my best puppy dog eyes. The thing in my hand was alarmingly enthusiastic, but I didn't let go. If he didn't agree, I'd just force the issue, and then blackmail him with photos. Li Shi, you think I can't handle you? Before I could even process what he meant, he flipped me over and pinned me to the sofa. He looked down, his eyes blazing with a fierce heat. I cursed him silently. I never thought this shameless Sui would actually have those kinds of thoughts about me. No wonder he offered to lend me money and then brought me here. So how are you going to handle me, huh? My hand snaked under his shirt, pressing against his rock-hard abs. Sui sucked in a sharp breath. Stop messing around. He grabbed my hand. I felt a pang of defiance. If sleeping with him once could solve our money problems, I wouldn't think twice. I used to care so much about my purity, wanting to save myself for Chu Yen. But now, nothing mattered more than getting that loan and helping Dad. I gritted my teeth, squeezed my eyes shut, and mashed my lips against Sui's. Only, I used a bit too much force and basically headbutt his mouth. Ouch! Are you trying to kiss me or kill me? You nearly knocked my teeth out. Hey, I never kissed anyone before. How was I supposed to know? I ignored him, wrapped my arms around his neck, and my nose started to tingle. Sui, please lend me the money. My dad has lost so much weight lately. Alright, I'll lend it to you. Just let go first. Hearing that, I instantly let go, hands up in surrender. Sui rubbed his lip, which I definitely bruised. I can inject funds into your family's company, he said. No need to pay it back. On one condition, you marry me. My eyes widened. Why? My family was going broke. Why would he want to marry into that? Does he like me? Wow, I was really reaching. Sui rubbed his nose, looking bored. You're a handful, woman. Me. I'll talk to your dad about the money. You talk to him about us getting married. I'm coming to your house tomorrow for the household register. That fast. I was stunned. Then, something felt off. Wait, did I even say yes? Meanwhile, at the Chu house, Chu Yen stood on the second-floor balcony, staring at the empty gateway. It was over. He wouldn't have to force himself to be around Li Shi anymore. But the image of Li Shi just before she left wouldn't leave his mind. She was soaked to the bone, her clothes clinging to her curves. A sudden heat rushed through Chu Yen. Before, he hadn't wanted to touch her because he disliked her. Now, it seemed like a bit of a waste. Besides, with the Li family bankrupt, if he really wanted to, knowing how much Li Shi adored him, keeping her on the side wouldn't be hard. A dark glint shone in Chu Yen's eyes. He put out his cigarette and went back inside. I stared at the red marriage certificate in my hand, then looked back at the Civil Affairs Bureau building. Sui's money had hit our company account at dawn. Then he dragged me out of bed and straight here. He was acting like he was late for his own funeral, or maybe a rebirth. I couldn't even hit snooze. Where to now? I asked Sui. Since he coughed up the cash, I was being nicer to him than usual. Sui drawled lazily, don't smile at me like that. It's creepy. Me. Some people just can't handle nice, I swear. I kicked his leg. Are you getting in the car or what? Sui grinned like a BDMA scamp rascal. He slung an arm around my shoulder. That's more like it, Mrs. Su. What Mrs. Su? I shrugged his arm off, but he just put it right back. We're married. You won't even let me touch your shoulder. I gave him a smile that didn't reach my eyes. You had your chance yesterday. You blew it. Sui immediately perked up. Well, yesterday wasn't exactly official, was it? Come on, let's go home now. My eyes went wide. What was he talking about? Sui bundled me into the car, and we drove straight back to the huge apartment where I slept the night before. I slept in the master bedroom. no idea where Sui ended up. The moment the door closed, Sui swept me into his arms, bridal style. He marched straight for the master bedroom, moving like he'd done this a million times. I didn't think he'd ever dated anyone. Maybe he found a French girlfriend during his 2 years abroad. He was good looking, great body, rich family. It'd be weird if he hadn't dated. I found out soon enough. Sui, that rascal, really hadn't dated. I stared at a flustered Sui. Normally, I'd be laughing my head off at him, but now, my own face was beet red. He was finished before he even got started. I felt like I was finished. That was unexpected. Sui gritted his teeth. He leaned down to kiss me again. Seeing him look so crushed, I couldn't help but try to soothe him. It's okay, it's okay. Everyone has a first time, right? Sui muttered, you sound pretty experienced. For some reason, I caught a whiff of jealousy in his tone. A sharp little pain pricked my brain, and I bit down hard on Sui's shoulder. You. Sui looked completely stunned, frozen in place. He definitely didn't know that Chu Yen and I had dated for 6 years and never even kissed. Because Chu Yen hated me. Thinking about Chu Yen still made my chest ache. If you ever dare cheat on me, I warned, I'll castrate you. Never. You're the only one for me, for my whole life. Sui leaned down and kissed my eyelids, so gently, so tenderly. My heart fluttered. This was so not Sui's style. Soon, I couldn't think straight. Sui showed me, very thoroughly, the difference between an accident and normal performance. A ringing phone jolted me awake. I managed to lift my achy arm and press the phone to my ear. Hello. My voice was incredibly hoarse and my throat felt raw. I mentally cursed Sui 1,000 times. It's me. Chu Yan's voice. All the sleepiness vanished. Why was he calling now? Hadn't he mocked me enough yesterday? My voice turned icy. What do you want? Chu Yan's tone changed instantly. What happened to your voice? I snorted. You and Yen Jingro have been sneaking around behind my back for years, right? Never slept together. And you're asking me what happened? Chu Yan's face probably turned ugly on the other end. Li Shi, our engagement isn't even officially over and you're already out sleeping with other men. Chu Yan, are you insane? You know exactly why we were getting married. It was all a setup and you have the nerve to bring it up. Chu Yan said, don't play games with me, little Shi. I know what you're like. Was he calling me conservative? Before I could reply, he added, I can help your uncle's company. But you have to do what I say. His voice dripped with that same condescending, holier-than-thou charity. He was being ridiculous. What did do what I say even mean? Then it hit me. My face went pale. You want me to be your mistress? Who's asking my wife to be a mistress? The phone was plucked from my hand. I looked up into Sui's face, which was set like stone, cold as ice. I'd never seen him look like this. It was actually kind of scary. The second Chu Yen heard a man's voice, a vein probably throbbed on his forehead. Sui, are you fucking with my woman? Sui's lips curled, but his eyes were frigid. My wife and I have a marriage certificate. It's legal. You can stop your daydreaming. What my wife does is none of your business. With that, Sui hung up. Chu Yen's face must have been black as ink. He probably smashed his phone into a million pieces. Ah Yen, what's wrong? When Yen Jingro came in, the pieces of a shattered phone were at her feet. The man on the sofa radiated a terrifyingly dark mood. Chu Yen tried to soften his expression. What are you doing here? Yen Jingro sat down. Your mother asked me to look at wedding dresses. You should come see them too. Chu Yen seemed to zone out for a second. He just called out of the blue. I'm innocent, I swear. I stammered. Sui still looked mad. I gave him a little kick. What's with the long face? He's just so annoying. Sui grabbed my foot and leaned over me. Finally realize you were blind before, huh? I remembered back in high school, I once told Yen Jingro I didn't like tan, muscular guys. I preferred the pale, skinny type, like Chu Yen. Sui, of course, overheard. He snidely remarked that Chu Yen was just a pretty boy, all looks and no substance. I fired back with my own insults. When I couldn't win the argument, I just started swinging and beat him up. I almost scratched his face to bits. Sui was always a little wild. He loved basketball, so he was tanned. Once in high school, I accidentally walked in on him changing and saw his amazing 8-pack abs. To be honest, I kind of liked them. I just wanted to annoy Sui because he always ran his mouth. And he was so quick with words. I never won an argument, but he never won a fight. Sui leaned in to kiss me. He'd never dated, so his kissing skills were lacking. We were like two clumsy chickens pecking at each other. After a bit, he pulled away. We're going to Greece tomorrow. Ha! Su Yi tapped my forehead. We're married, aren't we? Shouldn't we have a honeymoon? I blinked. I told Chu Yen I wanted to go to Greece for our honeymoon too. He just grunted and without even looking up from his computer. I asked, how did you know I wanted to go to Greece? Su Yi gave me a look. You used to say that when you married me, we'd go to Greece for our honeymoon. He sounded a little bit wounded. I stared at him. It took me a minute to remember. I said that when I was 4, before I turned 5, I actually loved following Su Yi around everywhere. But he didn't like me. On his 5th birthday, our parents joked about arranging our marriage. Su Yi pushed me and said he hated me and would never marry me. I was crushed. I went home and cried my eyes out. After that, I never went near Su Yi again. Even our families grew distant. You said you hated me. How do you even remember that? Su Yi pinched my cheek. You really hold a grudge, don't you? I accidentally pushed you once and you just shut me out completely. I frowned. Accidentally. Su Yi started to say something, then clammed up. I saw his ears turn bright red. I did apologize to you. When? I was confused. Then, something clicked. That giant 2-meter teddy bear. I thought Yen Jingro had given it to me. She was standing at the door with the bear, and I even wondered how she managed to carry it. Su Yi looked exasperated. I told you Yen Jingro was bad news, but you never believed me. I'd known Yen Jingro since kindergarten. Su Yi couldn't stand her, and was always bad-mouthing her to me. I just thought he was being a jerk. Looking back, I was so stupid. Well, better late than never to believe you, I said with a grin. Luckily, Su Yi wasn't the type to hold grudges. I'd beaten him up for years, and he was still willing to help my family. The next day, I was on a plane to Greece. I'd wanted to stay and help Dad, but he said he could handle it and told me to go have fun and clear my head. Before boarding, I saw news everywhere about the Chu and Yen families getting ready to tie the knot. The internet was full of stories about their great love. Me, the ex-fiancé, had completely vanished from the picture, which was exactly what I wanted. I just hoped I'd never have anything to do with those two ever again. We got to Athens in the afternoon. After dinner, Su Yi and I lounged on the terrace and watched the sunset over the Aegean Sea. I like sunsets more than sunrises. The way the golden light spills over the blue water is just stunning. A few days later, we went diving in the blue caves on Zakynthos Island. I've always loved diving, actually, but Chu Yen nearly drowned once, so he was terrified of water. I rarely got to go. Su Yi held my hand as we went under. Sinking into that deep blue water felt like entering another world. All the stress and unhappiness just melted away. My future was long. Chu Yen and Yen Jingro were just bumps in the road. I didn't need to keep stewing over them. They were the ones in the wrong, not me. About 2 weeks into our Greece trip, Dad called with good news. The company was stable for now, at least it wouldn't go bankrupt. Whether we could get back to being the richest in Yuncheng, that was up to Dad. At the same time, the news of my marriage to Su Yi also got out. Wifey, how are you going to thank me? Su Yi rubbed his fluffy head against my shoulder like a big cat. These 2 weeks in Greece, Su Yi had become a completely different person. He was stuck to me like glue from morning till night. Hitting him, yelling at him, nothing worked. Get lost. I'm going to sleep. I pushed him away and flopped onto the bed. This whole trip, it was exercise all day outside, and then more exercise all night in bed. I was so tired I felt like I was about to keel over. Let's sleep together, wifey. Su Yi scrambled into bed and dove under the covers. Chu Yen's hand tightened around his glass. Li Shi sure moves fast. Weren't she and Su Yi always at each other's throats? How are they getting married? Li Chi swirled his drink, glancing at Chu Yen. Su Yi's probably liked Li Shi for ages. They fought like crazy every time they met. No way. Li Chi said, you guys don't know, huh? Back in our first year of high school, 2 guys were trash-talking Li Shi's figure. He beat them black and blue. So what if he likes Li Shi? Li Shi likes our Yen. Yen, do you think Li Shi married Su Yi just to spite you because you were getting married? Chu Yen slammed his glass down. Li Shi would never like him. Sensing the bad mood, Li Chi quickly tried to smooth things over. We all know how much little she likes you. Yen, who do you actually like? Little Jing or Li Shi? For families like ours, marriage is for life. You better think this through, a friend piped up. Everyone there knew Chu Yen and Yen Jingro had been sneaking around behind Li Shi's back. They all thought Chu Yen and Yen Jingro were finally getting their happy ending. But lately, Chu Yen had been radiating an awful, dark energy, especially after the news about Li Shi and Su Yi's marriage broke today. When Chu Yen walked into the private room, he looked like he was about to murder someone. Chu Yen picked up his glass and downed the drink in one go, his eyes glinting with a dangerous cold. She wouldn't dare marry anyone else. Seeing things were getting tense, his friends quickly changed the subject. Phone's ringing. You gonna get it? I peeked out from under the pillow. Nope. I was too exhausted. It's Chu Yen. Only then did I notice Sue-E's usual playful look had been replaced by a scowl. I still didn't get why Sue-E hated him so much. Wifey, he's like gum on a shoe, so annoying. I couldn't help but laugh. Just answer it. Sue-E hit answer and put the phone to my ear. Little she, my stomach hurts. Chu Yen's drunken voice slurred through the phone. I glanced at Sue-E's thunderous face. His eyebrows were knitted so tight you could probably trap a fly between them. I said calmly, if your stomach hurts, call a doctor. 2 weeks had passed. Hearing Chu Yen's voice now, I felt nothing. Little she, come pick me up, okay? I miss you. Ha! I was completely lost. Have you lost your mind? This is Li Shi. The Li Shi you hate, remember. If you want to act crazy, go find Yan Jingro. My husband and I are busy. We don't have time for your drama. I hung up. On the other end, Chu Yen stared at the disconnected call, his eyes fixed blankly on the dark screen. A wave of panic, slow and creeping, washed over him. She really got married? Ah Yen, why are you sitting on the ground? Get up. Yan Jingro rushed out of the car, trying to pull Chu Yen to his feet. Let go. Chu Yen roughly shook off her hand. She stared at him, utterly bewildered. Ah Yen. Yan Jingro's eyes welled up. Is it because little she is getting married? Are you unhappy? Chu Yen said nothing. Just go home. Feeling better? I put the phone aside and looked at Sue-E, whose mood had shifted from stormy to sunny. The one good thing about him was that he couldn't hide anything. Wifey, what did you call me just now? I frowned, pretending I didn't know. What did I call you? Say it again. I don't remember, Sue-E. In the end, Sue-E used some unconventional tactics to make me call him husband a whole bunch of times. After a month in Greece, we flew to France. Sue-E showed me all the places he'd lived during his 2 years there. On our first day in France, I got a message from one of my party friends. She said Chu Yen was in the capital city, turning it upside down looking for me. She also said the marriage between the Chu and Yen families was off. That surprised me. Weren't they supposed to be madly in love? Why call it off all of a sudden? I wasn't in the mood to deal with their drama, so Sue-E and I went out to have fun. After nearly a month in France, we headed back home to plan our wedding ceremony. I never expected to see Chu Yen in France, the night before we were due to leave. He looked exhausted and disheveled, nothing like the polished, rich young master he used to be. The fiery sunset bathed the crowds of people in its glow. Across the throng, our eyes met. He strode towards me. Just as his hand was about to touch my arm, I sidestepped. Don't touch me. It's disgusting. The joy on Chu Yen's face froze when he heard my words and saw my cold expression. Little she, I've been looking for you for so long. I almost laughed. Looking for me? Why? To invite me to your wedding with Yan Jingro. Chu Yen frantically shook his head. No, I missed you, little she. I was wrong. I shouldn't have said those things that day. I've already broken things off with her. Can we try again, have a good life together? His eyes were pleading, filled with the adoration I used to crave but never got from him. Too late. Affection that arrives this late is worthless. I'm already married. I held out my hand, showing off the massive pink diamond ring. Sue-E had bought it at an auction and proposed to me under the Eiffel Tower, in front of everyone. He said even though we were legally married, we couldn't skip the important traditions. When I was with Chu Yen, he seemed gentle, but looking back, his kindness was all on the surface. Especially after these 2 months traveling with Sue-E, I finally realized just how stupid I'd been. I know Sue-E must have tricked you. If you just divorce him. Before he could finish, Sue-E, who'd gone to get me some water, decked him with a single punch. Chu Yen wiped blood from his lip. Sue-E, you just took advantage of her. You're a despicable snake. Sue-E scoffed. Chu Yen, you've got some nerve. When you were with little she, you were lapping up all the perks from her family, then acting like you were the victim. And you were cheating on her the whole time. Seeing how much Sue-E hated Chu Yen, I didn't stop him from hitting him. While they were wrestling, I managed to sneak in a kick at Chu Yen. That LL teach him to humiliate me. Calling me disgusting. Me, the daughter of Yunqing's richest family, beautiful and rich. I could have any man I wanted. It's not like I forced him to be with me. Why did he blame everything on me? Okay, husband, that's enough. Don't hurt him too badly. Seeing Chu Yan looking like he was about to pass out, I quickly pulled Sui back. Those muscles of his weren't just for show. Sui crouched down, pointing at Chu Yan's nose. I'm letting you off today because of my wife. If you ever bother her again, I'll beat you to a pulp. Sui had been wanting to thrash Chu Yan for ages. Chu Yan had Li Shi's love but didn't treasure it, and it drove Sui crazy with anger. But back then, Li Shi never believed a word Sui said. When they were kids, he'd been too proud to admit his feelings and ended up pushing Li Shi away. He'd regretted it so much, crying into his pillow at night. Thank God she was back by his side now. Little Shi, don't call him that, Chu Yan pleaded, looking at me with desperate eyes. I ignored him. Sui did the beating, but I still had to call a cab to get Chu Yan to a hospital. Sui held me, looking down at Chu Yan crumpled on the ground. Just like that day at the Chu house. The first day I was back home, Yan Jingro showed up at my door. I didn't want to see her, but I was really curious why she'd betrayed me like that. I'd known her even longer than I'd known Chu Yan. I told the maid to just give her a glass of water. She wasn't my friend anymore. She didn't deserve any special treatment in my house. She put on that same old pitiful act. Little Shi, I'm so sorry. I really didn't mean to hurt you. I was immune to it now. You say you didn't want to hurt me, but your actions say otherwise, don't they? That photo I saw at the Chu house looked like it was taken in our second year of high school. They'd been together all that time, while Chu Yan was still pretending to be head over heels for me, and I was telling Yan Jingro all my girlish secrets. They must have had a good laugh at my expense behind my back. Yan Jingro bit her lip. Little Shi, I don't have a rich family like you. I don't have a dad who adores me, or a childhood sweetheart to protect me. Ah Yan loves me, and I love him. We're truly in love. I didn't protect you. Her words made me laugh out loud in anger. Why do you think I have this reputation for being a bossy brat all over the capital? Isn't it because I was always sticking up for you? I never used to understand that saying, pitiful people always have a hateful side. Now I get it. It's talking about people like you. Someone helps you, and you don't feel a shred of gratitude. Instead, you start comparing and getting jealous. I was so angry, I just let it all out. Yan Jingro's tears started streaming down her face. I just watched her cry, cold as ice. She cried for a bit, then stopped when she saw I wasn't reacting. Little Shi, can you please talk to Yan for me? Ask him not to break off our engagement. My mom wants me to marry some divorce guy in his 30s now. I raised an eyebrow. Aren't you too madly in love? What do you want me to persuade him about? I didn't have the patience to listen to her anymore. I realized she lived in her own little world. A world where she was always the weakest, always the one in the right. I had the butler show her out and went back to looking at wedding invitation designs. When the wedding plans were mostly set, I got a call from Mother Chu. She wanted me to visit Chu Yan in the hospital. Said he was sick. I told her to call a doctor and hung up. I hadn't forgotten her cold, mocking words. Why should I go see Chu Yan just because he was sick? But the next day, Mother Chu showed up at my house. I refused for a week, but she came every single day. I finally got fed up and went to the hospital. I was shocked when I saw Chu Yan in his room. He'd lost so much weight. The hospital gown hung on him like a rag, and his eyes were dark and sunken. The suave, polite, rich young master was gone. I came to give you an invitation. I put an elegant invitation on his bedside table. He grabbed my hand. His eyes were bloodshot. Little Shi, is there really no chance for us anymore? I yanked my hand away. When you called me disgusting, did you ever stop to think if there'd be a chance later? He was silent. Regret flashed in his eyes. So he did know how much those words hurt. When you humiliated me, when you wanted me to be your mistress, did you think about future chances then? With every word I said, his face got paler. Chu Yan, your pity party won't work on me. Even if you dropped dead right here in front of me, I wouldn't even blink. I'd just think, good, another disgusting person is gone. The light in Chu Yan's eyes died completely. I'm not some saint who loves everyone. For the people I care about, I'd risk my life. But if I don't care about someone, I wouldn't give them a second glance. I walked out of the hospital with my bag and looked up at the bright blue sky. It was clear, not a cloud in sight. A perfect day. Wifey. Not far off, a handsome man in a suit leaned against a car, waving at me. I smiled and walked towards him. Chu Yan's extra. The first time I saw Li Shi, she looked like a beautiful porcelain doll. Back then, there was this annoying little kid always buzzing around her. He'd always get her all riled up, but her eyes were always on him. Besides that kid, Li Shi mostly played with one other girl. At first, I really wanted to be her friend. The first time I held her hand to play, I was so happy. I remember thinking, how could a girl as cute as Li Shi exist? I'd definitely marry her when I grew up. Then, my parents found out that being friends with Li Shi meant they could get things from her family. So, they started subtly pushing me to suck up to her. I hated it, but I couldn't fight them. Slowly, I stopped wanting to go to her house, stopped wanting to see her. It felt like we were different. She was the princess, and I was just a servant. She got prettier as she grew up, and her personality was so bubbly. Everyone liked her, everyone wanted to be around her. Especially that annoying Sue. He was like her shadow, always there. In our second year of high school, Yan Jingro and I got together. I didn't really like her. We were just similar. It was more like we understood each other's unhappiness. When I turned 18, my mom forced me to confess to Li Shi. She was overjoyed and said yes immediately. For a second, I actually regretted it. I wanted to try to be with her properly. I was going to break up with Yan Jingro, but she cried so hard, a real sob story, and I spent ages comforting her. Then, suddenly, she took off her clothes right in front of me. At 18, you're full of restless energy. My feelings started to tilt more towards Yan Jingro, but I also really enjoyed how much Li Shi liked me. Li Shi was like a ray of sunshine, always bright and cheerful. Just looking at her made me feel better. For 6 years, I lived a double life, feeling guilty but also enjoying all the good things Li Shi did for me. I refused to admit I liked her. I had to keep telling myself I liked Yan Jingro, that I hated Li Shi, that what Yan Jingro and I had was true love, that I wasn't betraying Li Shi. When I was 24, Li Shi's family was about to go bankrupt. I knew this was my chance to finally be free of her, but after she left, my world felt empty, like a hole I couldn't fill, no matter what I did. I started thinking about finding Li Shi, bringing her back. Back then, I thought it was just because I'd never touched her during our relationship. Maybe if I did, those strong feelings would just fade away. I never, ever thought Li Shi would get married. And to Sue of all people. The moment I knew it was Sue, I knew it was over. Sue had been watching Li Shi like a hawk for years. He'd pop up at the slightest hint of anything. But I didn't want to admit it. I quickly told Yan Jingro I wanted to break off the engagement. To be honest, I never planned on marrying her anyway. Since Li Shi refused to come back, I thought this would force her hand. But it didn't. I searched for her like a madman and finally found her in Paris. When she called Sue husband, any tiny bit of hope I had left just shattered. If she didn't like him, she'd never call him that. Later, after I got back home, I deliberately started drinking too much. I was betting on her soft heart. She was always easy to persuade, always so kind. But I didn't realize her kindness was only for people she actually cared about. Li Shi has been married for 10 years now. She and Sue are famous in Yunqing as the perfect, loving couple. They have an adorable daughter. I saw her once, from a distance. I often think if I hadn't been so hung up on my stupid pride, if I'd just admitted how I felt about Li Shi sooner, then I would be the one married to her now. Not long ago, Yan Jingro came to see me. Her parents married her off to some divorced guy 10 years older than her. Her life is miserable, and she wanted me to help her escape. Honestly, a part of me blames her. Of course, I said no. I looked at the medical report in my hand. Terminal stomach cancer. A bitter laugh escaped me.